and welcome back to another podcast episode with Brittney Bundles. You are listening to the Brittney Bundles podcast, where we empower people through entrepreneurship. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of ways that we can monetize our talents. A couple of ways that we can make money from what we're good at. Now, I do want to say this. I do want to remind everyone that growing into entrepreneurship full-time is definitely obtainable. There are so many inquiries that I get via email, text message, even in person, where people are asking, how can I transition from my 9-to-5 to working my business full-time? Or how can I incorporate additional income into my current salary or into my current income outside of my 9-to-5 or outside of another job? And there's more than a few ways to do that. I've gone over different ways on my YouTube channel at Brittney Bundles. So if you haven't visited my YouTube channel, I'm encouraging all of you to do so and go to my business playlist. I have literally tons of videos in my playlist going over different tips, advice, information, experiences, how-tos on how to grow and maintain your business. And in that playlist, I also go over different ways to make money, different routes that you can take to grow your income. And I do want to say this, one thing that I've noticed, one thing that I've actually learned is a better way of me saying that. One thing that I've learned is how important it is to have multiple streams of income and how important it is to not get so settled in or so dependent on one stream, whether that's your job, whether that's your business, whether that's something else that you're doing. It's very, very wise to look at different ways to keep money coming in, even if you have a primary source that's working great for you. So during this year, I've looked into different ways to grow my income. I've looked into different ways to make sure that I'm generating income from different outlets. And so today we're going to talk about how we can monetize our talents. Like I said before, how we can make money from what we're actually good at, and how we can make sure that we're building towards financial security. So if you are interested, get ready. Maybe grab a friend, share this episode on your social media. I truly appreciate it. And in a moment, we're going to get started with how to monetize your talents. I'll be right back with you. Okay. All right. So I'm back. And I do want to say this too. There are so many ways to make money nowadays. Like there's just so many different things, so many different avenues, so many different ideas that people have come up with to make money. And one of the fascinating things about making money is you have a choice as to how you want to go about it. You have a choice as to how you're going to make sure that you're sustaining yourself and you're moving forward in life. Now, making money isn't just my goal. I do want to make sure that I'm not just making money, but I'm actually making a difference. And I've learned in order for me to make a difference, I have to align how I make money with something that I'm designed to do, with something that I'm created to do. And so the best way that I've decided for myself to make money is to monetize my talents, meaning to make money off of what I'm good at. God has blessed us all with different skills and tools, and I've talked about this in other podcast episodes, as well as on my YouTube channel at Brittney Bundles. And a lot of times we look over what God has put inside of us, and it could be for a number of reasons. Maybe we don't recognize what's inside of us. Maybe we're not confident with the gifts or skills that we know we have. Maybe we're pushing it off, delaying it, and allowing other things to feed into our lives or distract us from what we should be doing. Whatever the case may be, God has given each and every one of us something that can definitely be used to advance His kingdom. And also it can be used to sustain your life and your lifestyle. So there's different ways to do it, like I mentioned, to make money. The first thing that I want to go over is teach others how and serve others. So when I get the question and people are saying, how can I make money? I'm good at this, I do this, and I'm getting money from this, but what else can I do to monetize more of my talents? I always like to ask, have you thought about teaching others how to do what you do? Have you thought about sharing the word or sharing the information or sharing the tools that have helped you get to where you're currently at? You don't have to be or consider yourself a teacher in order for you to teach someone else how to do something well. When I was first asked to speak to college students, I was very nervous. And I found it ironic because the same school that I didn't finish, that I did not graduate from, is the same school that asked me to speak. And so I'm speaking to students about business when I never graduated or finished that course in school. And because they saw something in me, because they saw the experience that I had with actually running my business, with actually helping other businesses, I was asked to teach and share information with their students. And that was just an eye-opening experience for me. And there are so many people that have made a great impact in their community and also amongst the world by teaching others how to do what they do. Now, when you teach others, it doesn't mean that you're expecting everyone to do exactly what you're saying do. At least not for me. I find it very intriguing to learn other stories and journeys, and I find it very intriguing to do experiments in business, kind of trial and error, if you will. What works and what doesn't for me, what works and what doesn't for them. And during trial and error, there are some fundamentals that I found that have worked strategically for a lot of businesses. There are fundamentals that no matter what industry you decide to go in, have been proven to help most of the time, such as making sure that you have great customer service, building relationships, changing your mindset, being consistent. There are some things that can be transferred into pretty much any industry or any niche you're in. So I would recommend teaching others how you do what you do. If you found something that you enjoy doing, and if you found something that you're great at doing, it's one of your skills, one of your gifts, one of your talents, teach others how to do that. And you can do that in different ways where you're monetizing your talents, such as different courses, ebooks, videos, classes, in person or virtual. There's different ways to do that. But first, we have to make sure that we're confident in what we're doing. We're confident in who we are. And I've talked about that a lot on this podcast. Becoming confident in what you're doing. If you don't believe in what you're doing or what you're saying, it's very, very hard to convince someone else to believe or even take you serious enough to even listen to what you're saying. You need to be confident. We have to get confident. We have to first understand who our gifts come from, where our talents came from. And that alone is something that helps me stay confident. And also confident in the information that you're providing, because there's no right or wrong way to provide your information, as long as it's coming from your heart, as long as it's value-based, and as long as it's not directly offensive to anyone. And, people can get offended by anything these days, but you know what I mean. As long as your focus isn't to offend someone or hurt someone or demean someone else. But teaching others how, and also learning how to serve others. When I think of the word serve, just when I hear that word, what comes to my mind is listening, being reachable, being compassionate, wanting to please, wanting to be available, being available. All of those things and more comes to my mind when I think about serving others, providing value, inspiring, helping, advancing. All of that comes into mind. And so finding out a way to serve others through your talents is also a great way to monetize your talents. Now, when I talk about teaching others how and serving others, there are some people that automatically are taken back. They're like, wait a minute. I'm not going to ask for money for teaching others. And I'm not saying that every single way that you teach others has to have a dollar or a price tag attached to it. Not saying that at all. For example, we're on this podcast. This podcast is free to listen to. On my YouTube channel, there's videos that are free to watch. However, there's also certain things that I've created, also certain services that I've created that I've decided to charge for. And so that brings me to my next tip. The next tip that I want to talk about is embracing being paid for your work, skills, and knowledge. I've run into so many different entrepreneurs that are ashamed or taken back or nervous when it comes down to asking for payment for their work and services. And I can even remember when I first got started with my business, how I didn't want to sell to anyone that I knew initially. I thought I wanted to, but then when it came time for me to take the payment, I kind of felt like I didn't want to take it. I don't really want to take your money. And it wasn't until I transitioned my mind into an entrepreneurial mindset, into a business mindset. Because how many of you know, I wasn't born with a business mindset necessarily. There are definitely some things that I've had to really focus on and work towards, and I'm still working on with my mindset and my mentality. And I had to understand the concept of business. I had to understand the concept of being paid for your work. I had to understand, even with my 9-to-5, I was asking for payment from other people. And I knew why I was asking for payment for this company. I knew what they were paying for. And I didn't feel bad about it. But here I am in my business and I don't want to take payment. I'm like, I'll take it, but I don't want to. Not realizing that if you're confident in what you're offering, if you know you're offering something of substance, value, if you know that you have to invest back into your business in order to keep it running, to continue to offer your products and services to others, if you know that you're not wanting to work your 9-to-5, if you know that you want to be full-time in your business to be more accessible and available to your customers and clients to help your business grow, then we also have to understand the importance of being paid for what we do. Being paid for your time, being paid for your products is essential in moving your business forward. And I know some of you may be thinking, okay, yeah, that's common sense. Of course, I got to be paid for my business, right? Of course. And although it may seem common, it's still a feeling that a lot of entrepreneurs have struggled with, selling their products and receiving payment for it. So I want to remind everyone that it's perfectly fine for you to embrace the idea of being paid for your work. There are so many entrepreneurs that I work with as well that undercharge for their services and products. And they've actually weeded themselves out of business because they were not charging what they needed to charge to actually keep the business working and running. Most businesses take money to run. There's advertising, there's marketing, there's inventory, there's your time. And something about time, what I wanted to bring out on this video as well, is there are some people that want to offer services and be able to offer more of those services and not work their 9-to-5. And let me put this disclosure out there. I'm not anyone that bashes anyone for working a 9-to-5. I'm not that motivator that's going to say that in order for you to be an entrepreneur, you can't have a 9-to-5. I don't believe that at all. There are very successful entrepreneurs that still work their 9-to-5. So do whatever works best for you. You're going to hear me say that very frequently because I truly believe that from the heart. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for her. So do what works best for you. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there are still fundamentals that are very helpful to everyone, no matter what industry or area you're in your business. However, you ultimately have to decide what you're going to do for your life, for your family, for your budget, for your goals, for your vision. You have to decide that. But back to what I was saying about time, is in order for me to even have the time to be able to devote all of my time to my business, and I don't mean, all of my time literally, but I mean all of the time that I would have put into a 9-to-5, I have to be able to have that time. And because I have children and bills and different responsibilities and financial obligations, I have to make money. I have to receive income. And so we have to look at our time accordingly as well. You deserve to be paid for your time, whether it's a 9-to-5 or whether it's your business. And I understand when you first start your business, there are many of businesses that did not get paid, did not see any profit for a while. But I am saying that there comes a point in time where if you are going to get serious about monetizing your talents, if you are going to be serious about wanting to expand your business and wanting to work full time, especially those that are saying, I want to work exclusively for my business, full time for my business, then we have to embrace the idea of being paid. It's not wrong to be paid for your work. It's not taboo to be paid for your time. That's what a business is. It's not strange or unheard of for you to have to pay back-end costs for you to keep your operation running. I also want to put in there, learn your niche and identify your target audience. Some of us feel nervous to ask for payment or to be compensated for our work or our skills because we're in the wrong niche or we're not identifying our target audience. Maybe we're marketing to people that are not our target audience, and those people don't find value in what you're providing or what you're selling. So that's another reason why it's very important for you to decide and zone in on who your target audience is. Saying everyone, that's too broad to start off with. I'm just going to say that's very broad to start off with. Of course, everyone. I would love everyone to tune into this podcast. I would love for everyone to watch my YouTube channel. I would love for everyone to shop with me. However, the truth is, there are certain people that this podcast appeals to. This is an entrepreneurial podcast where we empower people through entrepreneurship. So that's not necessarily marketing to everyone. Everyone can become an entrepreneur, but everyone's not interested in entrepreneurship. Everyone can buy your product, but everyone's not interested in what you're offering. And so we have to identify who our target audience is. And again, on my YouTube channel at Brittney Bundles, in my video playlist, in my business video playlist, there's a lot of videos on how to identify your target audience. So be sure after this podcast to go check some of those videos out. But we have to learn our niche as well and figure out if this is something that we're really confident in and if this is something that we want to do. There are so many people that have come to me and said, you know what, I want to sell hair, but I know nothing about hair. Well, it's time to learn. And also that's where confidence comes into play. A lot of things that I've learned in business have been self-taught through trial and error, through experience. Like I mentioned, when I was asked to speak to the school that I didn't finish at, it wasn't because I had a certain degree from a certain school. It wasn't because I took a certain course and I got an A on that course or on that assignment. It was because of the experience that I went through and the value that they saw based on my experiences that was valuable to them in their class. So learn, research, find out what your niche is, find out who your target audience is. And once we find our target audience and we can identify our target audience, then it's going to be so much easier to embrace being paid for your work because you're going to be amongst people that recognize the value in what you're offering. I said you're going to be around people that recognize the value in what you're offering. And although we're in business, so a part of them recognizing the value that you offer comes from you and comes from your marketing strategies and how you're going to position and promote what you're offering. However, a good starting point is to identify your target audience. Now, the next tip that I have is add on. Like I mentioned, continue learning and adding to your projects. This is another way to monetize your talents. So many of us have gotten comfortable with what we do that we've just decided to stop learning. We've decided to close our mind to the idea of learning anything new or adding or incorporating anything else to our business. I'm always looking at ways to improve what I'm currently doing. That does not mean that you're going to see my website change every day. That does not mean that you're going to see the intro or hear the intro on this podcast change every season. That does not mean that you're going to see my YouTube intro even change every 3 months. It doesn't mean that. But I'm constantly looking at ways to add on to what I'm currently doing, to add more value and to learn more. I'm constantly continuing to learn. And with the information that I learn, I reapply. How can I teach others? How can I serve others? I'm embracing being paid for what I know, for what I'm offering, for what I'm selling, for what I'm doing. I understand and I can identify my target audience. So continue adding on. Continue learning. Continue trying different things. A lot of us, when we find something that works, that's just that. We don't even want to touch it anymore. But just because it works does not mean that it cannot work better. Just because you found a way does not mean that that way cannot be more efficient. There is a way that what you're doing currently can be improved. So I'm constantly challenging myself on what can I do to improve what I'm currently doing? What can I learn that I currently don't know? Now, the next tip that I have is market yourself. Market yourself. So there are so many people with talents and gifts and different skills, and they've started businesses, but the businesses kind of stayed stagnant. Didn't really grow. And there could be a lot of factors that go into that. However, I do want to remind everyone to market yourself. Market who you are. Market what you offer. There are some companies that decide to not have themselves as the face of their business, and that's okay. I'm not saying that you have to have yourself as the face of the business, but I am saying that it's really important to also practice marketing yourself for different business meetings, for different finance or partnership options, to even talk to people about your business. Sometimes you may have people that come to you, even though you're not marketing yourself as the face of your business, that have questions in regards to your business. I mean, even big name companies, if you research, you can find out who the CEO is. You can find out who the founder was. And so it's important to market yourself and market your business. Who are you in this business industry? What do you stand for? Why should other companies or other people want to work with you? Even doing collaborations on my YouTube channel for other businesses, I had to market myself. And I constantly ask myself, why would someone want to work with me? And I work towards closing in the gaps. What am I providing? What am I doing? What do I specialize in? And I drive in that. I constantly market myself to the point that I cut off all paid ads. I cut off paid ads. And again, I want to say this too. There's nothing wrong with using paid ads for your business. I'm just saying that when you find a way on how to market your business and market yourself, oftentimes you may find out that organic traffic, organic invites, organic partnerships really have a positive impact on your business. But you first have to understand how to market yourself. You can have as many talents as you possibly want to have. You can be blessed with so many gifts. But if you're not telling the world or showing the world what you have to offer, if you're not practicing what God has blessed you with, how are we going to monetize it? How are we going to make sure that we're helping others and also being able to commit to helping others through this avenue and others by the skills that God has blessed you with, if we're not figuring out a way to show others the skills that we have, if we're not figuring out a way to nurture the skills that we have? What you don't use, you often lose. So I have to decide, do I want to use what God instilled inside of me, or do I want to sit back and just let it just kind of fade away? What do I want to do? What do you want in your life? Do you want to make more money? And everything is not about money. But like my aunt told me before, she told me this at a young age, money gives you freedom. It gives you the option to choose. There are so many people that currently feel stuck because of financial restraints. Money isn't bad. It's not bad to make money. But in order to do so, we have to figure out a marketing strategy. We have to try out different marketing strategies. We have to be open to being paid for our work. We have to be open to serving others. We have to be open to learning and adding. We have to be open to identifying our target audience. Now, the last thing that I want to go over is constantly challenge yourself. We've talked about that in this podcast already. Constantly grow. Constantly move forward, constantly expand. And when I say expand, I'm not saying that you have to get a new brick and mortar location that's bigger necessarily. I'm not saying that you have to expand your website to another e-commerce platform. I'm not saying that you have to expand the packaging options on your website, shipping options. I'm saying constantly challenge yourself to be the best you that you can be. Constantly challenge yourself to learn as much as you can. Constantly challenge yourself to be the best customer service advocate for your business. Constantly challenge yourself on coming out of your shell. Constantly challenge yourself on creating relationships, building relationships with people that you don't know. I'm constantly challenging myself. Before I got serious about my business, I was not thinking anything about making relationships or meeting new people, building relationships. I was thinking about creating a website and selling products. And yes, I had thoughts about, okay, well, how can I help others do that? When I really got confident and comfortable with what I was doing, I was able to look at other ways to expand. I wasn't always someone that taught others how to do what I'm doing, how to make money, how to be able to monetize talents, how to work as an entrepreneur full time. I wasn't always someone that was able to do that or that decided to do that. I don't even want to say I wasn't able. I just wasn't thinking like that at that point. And then I started thinking of other ways to help others do what I'm doing. And different avenues started opening. Different ways of making money started opening, not just for me at this point, but for other people that I was incorporating and what I was willing to show and teach. Was I the only one that was teaching different things or showing different methods behind entrepreneurship? Of course not. I'll never be the only one doing that. And that's another reason why a lot of people are nervous to get out and actually teach others how. Because the thoughts of, well, other people are doing it already. It's okay. No one's doing it like you would. No one's doing it through your mouth, through your eyes, through your gifts or your talents. So teaching others, serving others, adding on, continuing learning, embracing being paid, identifying your target audience, marketing yourself, constantly challenging yourself to become the best that you can be are all going to help with monetizing our talents. Those are the ways right there that we can do that. Those are the ways right there that we can start. And if you're someone and you're thinking, I really don't know what my talents are, start with thinking about what you like to do, because typically our talents are rooted in what we find enjoyment in. I always found enjoyment in speaking. Now, I remember when I was a child, I used to line my teddy bears up and I would sit there and speak to them. I just thought I was playing. And, I was. But later on, I decided to use what I like doing to not only help others, to not only make money, but to also fulfill my purpose and doing what God created me to do. My aunt, I thought it was so inspiring and I could relate to what she was saying. And she was saying that her ministry was through her business. She sold makeup and her ministry was through her business. The way that she was able to build relationships and talk to other people and incorporate God into conversations. A lot of times, a lot of opportunities presented themselves in the form of her clients. And so God will use you if you're open to it. God will use what he put inside of you to advance his kingdom. God will take care of you. I've learned that. I always heard it, but I've actually learned it. I've seen it. I'm a witness. So today is a reminder to allow what you have to provide what you want. So often we're looking for this certain recipe when we have it all along. We just haven't stuck to it. And we haven't decided how we're going to monetize it. So let's get started with that today. Those are some ways, again, that we can monetize our talents. I really hope that you all enjoyed this podcast. As I say in every episode, I don't want this episode to end. If you do have any questions or any topics that you'd like talked about on this podcast, please feel free to email me at Btalks, that's BTALKS, @yahoo.com. Also email me there if you would like your business or products or services featured on this podcast. We have a few options that I would love to go over with you. If you'd like to connect with me, be sure to follow me on social media. My Instagram is Brittney_bundles. That's Brittney, BRITTNEY_bundles, BUNDLES. I'm on Facebook, Brittney Bundles, YouTube, Brittney Bundles, and Twitter, Brittney Bundles. Until next time, I'll talk to you in the next podcast episode.